Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing out there? So just checking in with you today. I'm working this load. I did head all the way from Pennsylvania to Illinois to get this load. It's 2 picks, 2 drops. Finishes up in Minnesota, so that's why I got it mostly. Good paying load for what it is. It's about, I don't know, 450, 500 miles loaded. Pays about $2,000. I know by the time I put all that deadhead in it, it really takes all the good out of it. But I'll be honest with you, I'd rather deadhead to a good paying load than run $1 a mile out of Pennsylvania. They can keep it. But currently I'm being held hostage here at Americode because I didn't like how they loaded the trailer. So I guess this is some passive aggressiveness going on here. I don't know. We'll see. I just told them, you know, they got it loaded. It took them about an hour and a half on the first stop. I'm picking up like 15 pallets, I think, on the first stop. Not very heavy. They're very light pallets. I think it only weighs like 10,000 pounds, these 15 pallets. But I just didn't like how it was loaded. And the only problem I had with it was the very end pallet is loaded in the center. And these pallets are taller than I am. They're like 7 foot tall. And it was already leaning, you know, to the driver's side some. So I just went in and asked them, you know, number one, well, I didn't go in and ask. I called and asked because you can't go in the building. You know, they called me and said, hey, you're good. You can pull out. I pulled up. I was going to go back there and throw a load lock on it. I got about a 100-mile ride to the next pickup. Currently, it's about, I don't know, 1 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning. This was an 11 p.m. pickup. My next one is 100 miles away at 7 a.m., which isn't a problem because they have overnight parking at the second pickup. I pick up out of there quite a bit, so I know that place pretty well. They have restrooms, overnight parking. You know, they care about drivers. They don't take us for granted like a lot of places. But yeah, I went in there, or I called them back. I don't know why I keep saying went in there. Called them back, backed right back up into the door. Called them, said, hey, can you put that end pallet against the wall? Because, you know, it's already leaning and it's like 7 foot tall and I couldn't slide it to the side because of it's on a, you know, what is it, a Shep pallet or sheep pallet or, I don't know how you pronounce that. You know what I'm talking about, the blue ones. The product was almost light enough that I could slide it, but it started sliding off the pallet, and I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to damage product. So, I'll just back in. I'll call them, see if they can put that against the wall for me. That's been about an hour ago. I felt them go in there. They moved it. Now they just won't give me the green light back. So, I'm finna call them. They were not happy that I didn't like how they loaded it. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm responsible for it when I leave here. And so, yeah, you know, got to do what I got to do to protect, you know, my end, my you know, ass. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll call them back. Maybe we'll sit here till 7 o'clock till the next pickup. Who knows? Well, we made it to the second stop, and it's about 4 in the morning. I'm going to go grab me about a 3-hour nap. I can't check in here till 6:30, 7 o'clock. Appointments for 7. So I'm going to go grab a couple-hour nap. But being picky paid off at the last place, let me tell you. So I backed back into the door. They said, hey, no problem. We'll move that over there for you. I guess the supervisor or whatever got looking at the paperwork, realized, yeah, there's supposed to be 12 pallets on there. So that should have worked out, you know, side by side, 6 back. There was 13 pallets on there. So if I hadn't said anything, in which I didn't even know it was an extra pallet, I just didn't like the fact they stacked it in the middle. You know, put that thing against the wall. It was already kind of leaning a little bit, like, so I just, you know, called them back and said, hey, can y'all put that against the wall for me? I guess they got to looking at it. I noticed they were in there a long time, you know, moving stuff around in the trailer. And I guess they were trying to get a good count on it to make, you know, I guess they unloaded a whole one side and counted them. I don't know, just assuming, because they were in and out of that trailer a lot on a forklift. to move one pallet over to the side. So I get back to the guard shack, and yeah, they explained it to me that there's supposed to be 12 on there. They had loaded 13 pallets. So just a random pallet they thought they was going to put on there. So luckily for me, only thing that really did, I mean, it would have affected me, because I would have been taking that thing to the Minnesota food bank, because, you know, they're probably not going to ship a pallet all the way back. Maybe they would, I don't know. I don't want to find out, but I'm more than likely my home time would have been interrupted by that. So I'm glad I complained a little bit. That's one time where complaining actually worked out for me. So we're going to continue on with the load. We'll keep you updated on down the road. Oh yeah, this load's definitely going to be about logistics. Just got my green light. I am loaded. I know not to run in there right now. The paperwork probably won't hit the office for another 20 or 30 minutes. So no rush on that one. But so it's about 8:30 a.m. here. I had a first pickup was last night at 11 p.m. So I got that loaded up. That was what I was talking about in the first part of the video. Drove over here, parked, went to sleeper berth in the door, and so probably gonna have to sit here for another few hours to let at least my 8-hour break go into effect. May have to sit here like another 5 hours and let the 10-hour break take effect. I got about a 6-hour ride over to the next stop, or my first delivery. So it got me about a 6-hour ride. So maybe I get out of here by, well, I don't know. The reason I say it's logistics though is because I'm trying to figure out, time all this out, because I've got let's see how that's going to work out. I'm thinking about it right now. I thought I had it all planned out, but now that I think about it a little bit, I'm a little confused by it. So anyway, it's 11 p.m. last night, 7 a.m. this morning. And then this is Tuesday morning at 8:30 a.m. And then I've got my first drops about 6 hours away Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. So it's not a big deal as far as, like, it's almost, 24 hours to go 6 hours of riding. It's like 400 miles down the road. But the issue is, once I get done at the first stop at 6 a.m. in the morning, and I've been to that place before in Wisconsin, they take forever to unload. That's why my second drop is at 5 p.m. So I've got to be able to get that unloaded and still have enough hours to get to the second stop, and then still have about an hour left so I can get back to our yard. Because I think I'm going to take Thursday off. But yeah, it's a logistical nightmare, some of these loads. So some of them you get paid to run a lot of miles. Some of them you get paid to, figure out when and how to make the stops. It does help when you've delivered to a ton of places before. You kind of know their routines. You kind of know how to get in and out. So a lot of that just comes with experience. I knew this place here would put me in a door. They wouldn't start loading me till appointment time, but I knew they would go ahead and put me in a door as soon as I got here. So that's what I did. I trucked it straight over here, got put in the door, went straight on sleeper berth. I've been asleep, I don't know, I slept from probably like 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and then I went in and checked in with the first shift to make sure I hadn't been forgotten. Everything was good on that. Came back, went to sleep for about another hour, and felt them start loading it, and apparently now we're done. So all is good. But as far as the choice of picking this load, man, I hate when I'm in a position like that. I was in Pennsylvania the other day, because how that works is I was looking at loads from Pennsylvania to Minnesota. I had one load I found that was from the area where I was in over to Minnesota. $1,800. It's like 1,300 miles. I don't know what the math is on that. Didn't even do it. It was like $1.50 a mile. Heavy load. Just, not interested. The way I look at it is, if I'm going to drive the same amount of miles and make the same amount of money, I would much rather have the majority of it be deadhead, like on this load. This load is about 500 total miles, and it's paying $2,000. So I made more money on this load going the same distance, and yet the, I don't know, 800 of the 1,300 was deadhead, you know. I cruised at 70 mile an hour and got, like, you know, almost 10 miles a gallon out of it once I hit the flat ground. In Pennsylvania, in the hills, I was doing about 8.5, you know, through there empty. But that's running 70. And I didn't go through the toll roads. I dropped down 68 and come up, you know, 79 to 70 across, and yeah, up to Chicago. So, you know, I went around, I went the long way. I think it was about 120 extra miles doing that. So, you know, I'm not giving them $233 in tolls. Now, if you do the math on that, like, that's almost $2 a mile worth of tolls. Almost $2 a mile worth of tolls. I ain't doing it. Seriously, like $233 worth of tolls to come across there. I'm just like, where do you get off? I can drive an extra 120 miles and save $240. Like, the load ain't even paying that. So if I'd have ran the toll road, all that money I would have just been giving up the tolls, you know, losing money on that. So I try to avoid the toll roads any chance I get. But yeah, that's how I picked this load. You know, honestly, it just came down to, it was the best of the bad decisions. And it gets me back. I'm not going to have a horrible week because of it. Luckily, the first load I took down to North Carolina, and that load from North Carolina up to Pennsylvania, at least that did pay me pretty good for the first part of the week. Now, I started my week out last week on Wednesday, and I will finish this load on Wednesday afternoon. So it's going to be like 7.5 days, really, for the week. And I'll make about, let's see, the load to North Carolina was 34, load to Pennsylvania was 15. This one was 2,000. So that's what, 6,900. Not a bad week. A lot of miles, probably like 3,200, 3,300 miles. I mean, not a great week. This last part, trying to get back to Minnesota, really, you know, took all the energy out of it. It was going to be a pretty good week before all that happened. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I appreciate everybody watching. If you could, hit that share and that like and that subscribe button, and I appreciate it. Until next time, take care of each other out there. Later.